Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is your favorite doctor, Dr. Dr Vazquez, and this is the Octagon Doctor channel, the intersection of popular culture and medicine. Man, we thought that 2020 was over, that all the bad karma and bad vibes and all the bad things that happened were water under the bridge, but unfortunately those vibes seem to have carried over to 2021. Bad things keep happening, and we just got news by TMZ that Dr. Dre, the rapper, has had an aneurysm and is hospitalized in the intensive care unit, which is a part of the hospital that's reserved for people that are very, very sick, that need 24/7 around the clock care for life-threatening injuries. And what he suffered is an aneurysm. And to explain this in a very simple way, an aneurysm is an outpouching, like you guys are seeing here, of an artery. Think of a balloon filled with water and a smaller balloon popping up because there's weakness in the wall of the balloon. It's a very simple way of visualizing it. Or back in the day, you guys remember, if you're old enough, if you're older than 35, bikes had that tire inside the wheel, and if you made a jump and that little sack of air would form, well, that's an aneurysm. And in the brain, there's a lot of circulatory components that could be prone to this injury that Dr. Dre suffered, and that is potentially life-threatening. There's three types of aneurysm. There are saccular aneurysms, like the Berry aneurysm, like you guys are seeing there in the picture, is an aneurysm that's pretty much a sac that forms out of that artery. There's also the fusiform aneurysms that are just an artery that gets bigger and dilated in a segment. It doesn't make a pouch. And there's also micro aneurysms, just smaller aneurysms when there are arteries smaller than 300 microns. And this is definitely, it goes with the culture, because in hip hop culture, there's a prevalence of smoking, late night partying, unhealthy lifestyle. Not in general. I'm not generalizing, but it's sort of been that way. And one of the biggest risk factors for aneurysms is smoking and overweight. And we all know that Dr. Dre, during the 90s and early 2000s, he was definitely overweight. Of course, he slimmed down later in the 2000s and became a little healthier to my knowledge. But this is definitely something that could have led to this problem. Another risk factor, of course, is uncontrolled hypertension or elevated blood pressure, making pressure inside that blood vessel and causing that outpouching to form as an aneurysm. Another thing that we could have not seen coming, of course, is genetic disease. So Marfan's or Ehlers-Danlos diseases, which are genetic, inborn errors of the DNA that encode for faulty building bricks of the arteries, creating an area of weakness that leads to an aneurysm. Well, are there any signs and symptoms of an aneurysm that we could have looked for? Of course, headaches, drowsiness, seizure activity, but aneurysms typically don't give you any red flags. They just get symptoms when they do get symptoms. And we all know that Dr. Dre was going through a pretty ugly divorce, so stress can definitely cause an increase in his blood pressure, leading to this aneurysm. The next 24 to 48 hours are going to be crucial for him, of course. The diagnostic method for this is imaging studies. So MRI or CT scan would look like this, showing a bleed in there, in the brain matter, easily recognizable by a good radiologist. The next steps would be controlling blood pressure. That's a key factor. Not allow that bleed to extend, because that blood is toxic in the brain tissue itself. And finally, if the aneurysm is small enough, you would go inside with a coil and burn it off and make sure that little sac is gone, and that area is sealed, and you're able to recuperate. The recovery process of this is hard, of course. A lot of physical therapy is going to be necessary, just as when you have a stroke as well. So Here's hoping for a speedy recovery to one of our favorite hip hop artists, Dr. Dre, and we'll be in the channel with updates as they roll along. So remember, at the end, it was an aneurysm, usually caused by elevated high blood pressure. Risk factors could be smoking or genetic diseases like Ehlers-Danlos and Marfan syndrome. So there you have it, folks. If you like breakdowns like this of everything that's happening in medicine by an internal medicine physician and a ringside doctor, please make sure you subscribe and hit like and share this content as it helps me in the algorithm, and you would be supporting a Latino doctor in his YouTube endeavors. So thank you. There's a whole bunch of videos in my playlist, so make sure you pass by that and check it out. The Tom Segura one is a particularly funny one.